If you carry a firearm and discharge your weapon in self-defense.
Well, we are back. It looks like CCW Safe's commercial died at the beginning of this broadcast. Wow. Okay. Welcome to another edition of the Survival Dispatch News Podcast, where we deliver truth without compromise and preparation without panic. If you're new here, understand this isn't about entertainment. It's about truth. We stand for self-reliance, Christian morality, and the unapologetic defense of the American Republic. Our audience is awake, not woke, and we make no apologies for that. I'm your host, Chris Heaven, the CEO of Survival Dispatch, and today's episode is a solemn one. It's not just another briefing, it's a reckoning. We're focusing on the 13 U.S. service members who lost their lives in the Kabul airport bombing on August 26th, 2021. This was a catastrophe that didn't have to happen. And the people responsible for it, they're still cashing checks while the families of these warriors mourn in silence. Before we begin, quick reminder for Guardian members and those of you who aren't Guardian members yet but need to be. Membership has its privileges. Guardians already get the following benefits: full access to our sit reps situation report 6 days a week, an invite to our high traffic private signal chat, $370 in Survival Dispatch insider e-magazines, including our 228-page survival guide that can get you through pretty much any SHTF situation. However, in addition to those benefits, we're adding more over the next 2 weeks. Number one, we've already lit up a backup Guardian chat on Substack. If signal goes down, then we can move to the Substack chat. 3 is 2, 2 is 1, 1 is none, right? So we got to have backups of our backups. Number two is in place actually already as well. Early access to JJ Morris's videos twice a week. You'll get them a day to 3 days before the public does on YouTube, and that's already in place. The two new things that aren't in place are the Sunday Threat Matrix, which is going to come directly from me. It's going to be a weekly analysis of developing threats, cyber attacks, border incursions, pandemic baloney. It's going to have actionable next steps, and it starts this coming Sunday. And the next one after that, it's going to take a couple weeks to get in place. That's the SDN Emergency Alert System. This will be a text/email alert system exclusively for Guardian members about emerging threats or high priority breaking news. And again, this will be launched in a couple weeks. And on top of all of that, we're extending the opportunity to get a Guardian membership on Substack for only $7.99 a month or $75 a year. You get 2.5 months free if you do it for the year. We're going to extend it another week. Normally it's $9.99 and $95 because the influx of new members has been amazing. So I think maybe we struck a chord by putting it at $7.99. It's resulted in absolute explosion. All right, let's get down to it. There will be no headline news tonight, by the way. The balance of the broadcast is focused on the 13 service members who were killed that did not need to die. So August 26, 2021 stands as one of the darkest days in recent American military history, not just because of the lives lost, but because of what those deaths represented. The catastrophic failure, of leadership that put politics above the safety of our warriors. I just finished a huge birthday dinner with my wife and family, by the way. These 13 heroes died not in a conventional battle against a uniformed enemy, but during a chaotic withdrawal that should have never happened the way that it did. As American Christian conservatives, we understand that military service represents the highest form of earthly service. These young men and women volunteered to stand between evil and innocence, knowing full well, for those of you familiar with my Garmin watch, it's going off saying I already have an elevated heart rate. This topic upsets me. Let me back up a little bit. These young men and women volunteered to stand between evil and innocence, knowing full well they might pay the ultimate price. They embodied the Christian principle of greater love. Greater love has no one. Love has no one. Golly, you know what? I think when I made my notes here, I might have made a mistake on this adage. Greater love has no one than this, to lay down one's life for one's friends. I think I accidentally left a word out there when I wrote this brief very early this morning. They understand that freedom isn't free, that liberty requires constant vigilance, and that sometimes good people must do hard things to protect what matters most. Their deaths remind us that when leadership fails, when political calculations override sound military judgment, it's always the best among us who pay the price. These weren't just statistics or casualties of war. They were sons and daughters, husbands and wives, fathers and mothers who believed in something greater than themselves. And that makes their sacrifice that much more precious and tragic. So let's bring up a summary of the 13 who were killed. And then I'm going to go through each individual one. So I'm giving you a forewarning right now that I have a page dedicated to each of these service members, and I'm going to read the entire page for each of them. So you're going to hear me doing a fair bit of reading tonight, but I feel it's the only way to do them justice. I don't want to skip over anything. I don't want to, use a video of somebody else speaking to the topic. I wanted to speak to it myself, which is also why I'm on solo this evening. So the first article, these are the U.S. service members killed in the Kabul airport attack. Most U.S. fatalities from California's Camp Pendleton ISIS-K terror group claim responsibility for the attack. This was originally published on August 28th, 2021. All right, so let me zoom in here so that my old eyes can read this. A terror attack outside Kabul's Hamid Karzai International Airport in Afghanistan left 11 Marines and one Army soldier and one Navy corpsman dead Thursday, injuring 20 more service members and inflicting even more carnage on Afghan civilians. The service members were holding the airport as the Biden administration rushed to evacuate Americans and Afghan allies from the country following a swift Taliban offensive reclaimed the country. The ISIS-K terror group claimed responsibility for the suicide bombing, seeking to disrupt the massive evacuation effort of Americans, Afghan allies, and third-party nationals outside the U.S.-held airport. It was the deadliest attack on U.S. troops in Afghanistan in more than a decade. 10 of the victims, 9 Marines, 1 Navy corpsman, were based out of California's Camp Pendleton. Here are the men and women who gave their lives in support of a massive evacuation effort to save U.S. citizens and Afghan allies. So I'm going to pivot to the individual pages that I pulled up for each one of these members. He loved what he did. Missouri Marine killed in Afghanistan identified. And again, I'm going to zoom in just a little bit next. I'll see if I can't get his picture in here quickly so that y'all can see him. And that is Lance Corporal Jared Smits from Wentzville, Missouri. And he was one of the 13. He's the first of the 13 that we're going to cover. A Marine from Missouri who was less than a year old when al-Qaeda terrorists attacked the United States on September 11, 2001, was identified as one of the 13 American service members killed in Afghanistan Thursday, August the 26th, 2021. Lance Corporal Jared Smits was among 10 Marines, a Navy corpsman, and 2 soldiers killed when an ISIS-K suicide bomber and an unknown number of gunmen attacked Hamid Karzai International Airport. He took his job very seriously, Smits' father, Mark Smits, told the St. Louis Talks radio station. Someone came along, took the easy way out, and ended everything for him and us and the others who were killed. And this picture here shows a U.S. Marine with Special Purpose Marine Air Ground Task Force Crisis Response Central Command escorting a family during the evacuation of the airport, August 21st, 2021. Smits was from Wentzville, Missouri, and graduated from Fort Zumwalt South High School in 2019. After graduating from Marine Boot Camp in October of 2020, he became an infantryman and served with 2nd Battalion, 1st Marines. He loved what he did, and no matter what happened, he never complained once. He always had your back if you needed it. Eris Luttrell, a former classmate of Smits, told Coffee or Die magazine. Smits' father revealed the news Friday on St. Louis Talks radio, saying his son always wanted to serve in the Marine Corps. Mark Smits added that he spoke with his son on the phone the morning he was killed. I've never seen a young man train as hard as he did to be the best soldier he could be, Mark Smits said. That's a big part of why we are obviously devastated and sad, but there's so much anger right now because he wasn't even given that opportunity to demonstrate all the skills he had protected and learned while in the Corps. When asked what he wanted Americans to remember, the mourning father added, "Be afraid of our leadership or lack thereof. Pray every day for the soldiers who are putting their lives at risk and doing what they love, which is protecting all of us. I think they're the only ones that we can honestly say have our backs." A Marine with special purpose, Marine Air Ground Task Force Crisis Response Central Command receives a high five from a child. That was also August 21st. He wanted to be in a situation where he actually made a difference in what his role was within the Marine Corps. He was excited to get that opportunity, Smith's father said. As his parents, of course, we were terrified. I don't have words for how upset we are, and I'm sure he is as well. This is just absolutely devastating. Missouri State Rep Nick Schroer paid tribute to Smits in a Facebook post. Lance Corporal Gerald Smits paid the ultimate sacrifice yesterday serving our nation, Schroer wrote. He is a Marine out of Wentzville, Missouri, and a true American hero. Our hearts and prayers go out to his family today in these tragic times. Smits was one of 13 members killed in the attack. Moving on to the next casualty, unnecessary casualty, I might add. Massachusetts Marine killed in Kabul. When she walked into the room, everybody noticed her. And this is Johanni Rosario Picardo. And she was remembered by friends as someone who sought ways to help those in need. Photo courtesy of the U.S. Marine Corps. When she was a teenager in Lawrence, Massachusetts, Johanni Rosario Picardo volunteered at a meal center run by St. Patrick Parish. Whether she was volunteering or drilling as a JROTC cadet at Lawrenceville High School, those who knew Rosario say they saw her desire to serve on behalf of people in desperate straits. She was doing that outside the international airport on Thursday, August 26, when a suicide bomber struck, killing 13 Americans, including Rosario. She was 25 and had been only a small child when the Twin Towers fell. The mayor of Lawrence, Kendris Vasquez, spoke with Rosario's mother the day after the bombing. She spoke of her daughter as a vibrant young person who wanted to give back to the community, Vasquez said. And of course, this is a picture of her. Johanni Rosario Picardo was in her 7th year in the Marines as a supply chief when she volunteered last week to join a female engagement team in Kabul. She was helping move women through a checkpoint at the Abbey Gate at the Kabul airport. Photo from Facebook. Friends of Rosario poured out their hearts on Facebook. Fellow Marine Natasha Hyatt recalled Rosario, her soulmate. "You are my other half, my whole heart, my world, pretty much my everything," Hyatt wrote. Another friend, Tanya Kelly, wrote, "You were my only friend when I first got to the fleet and the person that trained me in everything I knew in supply. You were so good at your job and so good to your junior Marines." Retired U.S. Army Major Kathleen Romano, who ran the JROTC program at Lawrence High, told the Boston Globe that Rosario had a commanding presence about her. When she walked into the room, everybody noticed her. A Dominican American, Rosario was a supply chief for the Naval Amphibious Force, Task Force 51, 5th Marine Expeditionary Brigade, entering her 7th year in the Marines. After being deployed to Bahrain with the 5th MEB, she volunteered for the unit's female engagement team and was screening women and children among the evacuees at the Abbey Gate at the time of the explosion. The female engagement teams faced particularly tough duty during the Kabul airlift as their small numbers, far fewer than their male counterparts, dealt with the many women who arrived at the airport. Rosario was the recipient of 2 Navy and Marine Corps Achievement Medals, 2 Marine Corps Good Conduct Medals, the Sea Service Deployment Ribbon, the Global War on Terrorism Service Medal, the National Defense Medal, and 2 letters of appreciation. In addition, Rosario was at least once honored in May as the Gator of the Week by her brigade. And again, for those of you who are familiar with my watch that monitors my heart rate, this one really hits home because it was such an unnecessary event to happen. It makes me shake my head that the leaders of our country at that point in time would do something so stupidic. But anyway, First Lieutenant Jack Coppola, a Marine Corps spokesman, said that Rosario's service epitomizes what it means to be a Marine, putting herself in danger for the protection of American values so that others might enjoy them. She is a hero, and her legacy will never be forgotten. Next up is Max Soviak, corpsman who planned to make the Navy a career. And of course, these are two pictures of him here. U.S. Navy Fleet Marine Force corpsman, was one of the 13 service members killed. Maxton, Max for short, Soviak, 22, did a little of everything, a little better than everyone. A four-sport athlete from Berlin Heights, Ohio, who played in his high school's band and made the honor roll. He told friends he planned to make a career, in the Navy as one of the highly trained medics assigned to Marine infantry platoons. Soviak was one of the 13 U.S. service members killed in a suicide bombing outside the airport on August 26, 2021. The attack came while Soviak, a Fleet Marine Force FMF corpsman, and members of his platoon were overseeing the entry of refugees through the airport's Abbey Gate as thousands sought safe passage. An Instagram user named Marilyn Soviak, who identified herself as Soviak's older sister, broke the news on Friday in a heartbreaking post about her brother's death. And in this picture here, Max Soviak is on the left and Christian Donald, is on the right. Both were squad leaders during the combat trauma management course in October 2020. Photo courtesy of Christian Donald. I've never been one for politics, and I'm not going to start now, she wrote on her Instagram. What I will say is that my beautiful, intelligent, beat to the sound of his own drum, annoying, charming baby brother was killed yesterday, helping to save lives. Soviak was 2 years old at the time of the 9/11 terrorist attacks. Hospital corpsman, third-class Christian Donald, a Navy corpsman assigned to the 3rd Light Armored Reconnaissance Battalion, 1st Marine Division, worked together with Soviak in the immunization department at Naval Hospital, Guam. Donald and Soviak went through medical training together in July 2020. The two were also squad leaders during the combat trauma management course in October 2020. He was exceptionally athletic and competed in some armed forces events in Guam, Donald told Coffee or Die magazine. He was competitive, but in a way that was humble and quiet. He was always causing some sort of shenanigans to make others smile. He had a lot of pride in what he did as a line corpsman. Soviak was a 2017 graduate of Edison High School in Milan, Ohio, where he excelled in both academics and sports. He was on the honor roll and played on the football, track, wrestling, and tennis teams. He also played in the school's band. Soviak earned a 2-year certificate in electrical technology from eHub Career Center, which he completed during his junior and senior years. And in this picture here, he's in the center between two other service members. Max was a good student who was active in sports and other activities throughout his school career. The school said in a statement, he was well respected and liked by everyone who knew him. Soviak previously worked as a lifeguard and a maintenance technician before joining the Navy. We're incredibly proud of his service to our country, the family statement says. As we mourn the loss of our son, we also mourn for the loss of the Marines and soldier who were killed and pray for the speedy recovery of all those wounded in Afghanistan. Words cannot express how heartbroken we are with this news, and we will miss Max tremendously. As you can imagine, this is a very difficult time for our family, and we respectfully request that you honor our privacy. Moving on to the next one. It's hard to read this stuff, just to think of all these unnecessary young people dying. Devoted Marine from Southern California among service members killed in Kabul. Lance Corporal, and I'm probably going to struggle with his surname, Kareem Noule from Norco, California. All right. A Marine from Norco, California was among the 13 service members killed Thursday, August 26th in a suicide bombing at Kabul's Hamid Karzai International Airport. Lance Corporal Kareem Noule graduated from Norco High School in 2019, according to a Facebook post from the city of Norco. Nakui's father didn't know his son was dead until the Marines came to his home Thursday evening, he told the Daily Beast. The elder Nakui had stayed home from work, glued to the TV. I haven't gone to bed all night, Nakui's father said, according to the Daily Beast. I'm still in shock. I haven't been able to grasp everything that's going on. In a series of anguished Instagram posts, Nakui's mother, whose account identifies her as Shauna Chappelle, poured out the horror of learning her son was dead. This is the last picture my son sent me of himself. It was taken on Sunday. I know I'm still in shock right now. I felt my soul leave my body as I was screaming that it can't be true. And it looks like Instagram removed this photo for some reason. Nakui's father said his son had always wanted to be a Marine and was stationed close to home at Camp Pendleton, his father told the Daily Beast. He often came home on weekends, bringing along a dozen or so other Marines with him for home-cooked meals. My wife and I felt very honored that since these other boys weren't around their homes, that we were able to provide some sort of family life for them, the elder Nakui told the Daily Beast. He really loved that Marine Corps family. He was devoted. He was going to make a career out of this, and he wanted to go. No hesitation for him to be called to duty. Nakui was 20 years old, born the same year as the September 11th, 2001 terrorist attacks that prompted the invasion of Afghanistan. He was born the same year it started and ended his life with the end of this war, his father told Reuters. Nakui's father blamed military leaders and President Joe Biden for his son's death, according to the Daily Beast, saying they sent his son to Kabul as a paper pusher and then had the Taliban outside providing security. And this picture here, U.S. Marines with Special Purpose Marine Air Ground Task Force Crisis Response Central Command provide assistance at an evacuation control checkpoint during the evacuation at Hamid Karzai International Airport, Kabul, Afghanistan, Saturday, August 21st, 2021. U.S. Marine Corps photo by Staff Sergeant Victor Mansilla. Biden turned his back on him. The elder Nakui was quoted as saying, "That's it." The terrorist group ISIS-K claimed responsibility for the series of explosions that rocked the area surrounding the airport and took the lives of 13 U.S. service members and dozens of Afghans. The city of Norco plans to honor Nakui by placing his name on the Lest We Forget wall at George A. Ingalls Veterans Memorial Plaza, which honors local residents who made the ultimate sacrifice while serving their nation. We will not forget you, Kareem. We're going to make sure that they're going to know your name for 100 years, Norco Mayor Kevin Bash said in an interview with KNBC. Mayor Kevin Bash got emotional when describing his community and the love they have for Lance Corporal Kareem Nakui. Kareem was one of the U.S. Marines killed in the attacks Thursday. I thought it was a Saturday. While supporting evacuations at the Kabul airport. The Marine Corps and other military officials have not officially released the names of any service members killed in action Thursday. Yeah, I'm not sure. There's something a little bit funky here with the timeline. 24 hours after the family member is notified. This was updated August 28th. This story has been updated with the Instagram post posted by Shauna Chappelle on her son's death. Moving on to the next one. Degan Paige, a Marine killed in Kabul, remembered as a good Marine and a better friend. And this is Marine Corporal Degan William Tyler Paige, photo from Facebook. Death before dishonor. Those three words were tattooed on the chest of Corporal Degan William Tyler Paige, one of 13 U.S. service members killed in the Abbey Gate suicide bombing outside the airport in Afghanistan. According to many of his friends and colleagues, Paige truly lived by those words tattooed on his chest. Degan was the guy in the company that always had a smile on his face, even during the worst times, said Corporal Wyatt Johnson, who served with Paige from 2018 to 2020 in 2nd Battalion, 1st Marine Regiment at Camp Pendleton. Everyone knew Paige, and Paige knew everyone. He will be missed by everyone he knew, a good Marine and a better friend. And that's Degan in the picture here, and that's from his Instagram account. Paige, 23, joined the Marine Corps shortly after high school. Growing up in Iowa and Nebraska, Paige was active in the Boy Scouts and enjoyed playing youth hockey with the Omaha Hockey Club. He loved the Brotherhood of Marines as a member of the 2nd Battalion, 1st Marines, Paige's family said in a Facebook statement. He was raised in Red Oak, Iowa, and also in the Omaha metro area. He loved hunting and spending time outdoors with his dad, as well as being on the water. He had a soft spot for dogs. Degan will always be remembered for his tough outer shell and his giant heart. Our hearts are broken. Of course, that's him in the lower half of the picture, and that photo is from Facebook. Paige served with 2nd Battalion, 1st Marine Regiment in Camp Pendleton by Oceanside, California. Paige's unit was already deployed to the Middle East as a quick reaction force when it was redirected to Afghanistan's capital city of Kabul to assist with the evacuation operations. Only 2 weeks after his arrival at the international airport, Paige was killed during an ISIS-K suicide bombing. He was genuinely a sweet guy, and he was always smiling and happy, said Marine Sergeant Dallas Bush, who served with Paige for 2 years. In a statement to the Omaha World Herald, Republican Rep Don Bacon of Nebraska, an Afghanistan war veteran, said he was heartbroken over the loss of the local Marine. No words can express the devastation, frustration, and sorrow his family is experiencing right now, Bacon said in a statement. Corporal Paige is an American hero who gave the last full measure of devotion. He served his country honorably, and his service will never be in vain. And in this picture, he's now on the right. This was the picture where the young lad in the middle was already referenced. Pardon me. These fallen heroes answered the call to go into harm's way to do the honorable work of helping others. We are proud of their service and deeply saddened by their loss, Marine Corps Commandant General David Berger said in a statement Thursday. Berger continued, as we mourn, we also keep those who are still over there protecting Americans and our Afghan partners at the forefront of our thoughts. Our Marines will continue the mission, carrying on our Corps' legacy of always standing ready to meet the challenges of every extraordinary task our nation requires of her Marines. Paige is also survived by his parents, Greg Paige of Plattsmouth, Nebraska, and Wendy Adelson of Omaha, 2 step-parents, 4 siblings, and his girlfriend, Jessica Ellison. We're going to take a very short break here to see if we can play the CCW Safe promo so that I have a second to take a drink. I'm starting to lose my voice. I will be right back.
If you carry a firearm and discharge your weapon in self-defense, you could face hundreds of thousands of dollars in legal fees and expenses. So carry the protection of CCW Safe, Self-Defense Legal Services membership. Upfront payment of all criminal and civil defense costs with no out-of-pocket for members. Unlimited defense budgets. Unmatched legal expertise. Carry the same level of support police officers have. Carry CCW Safe, the highest caliber.
All right, so no problems that time around, thankfully. So moving along, fallen Indiana Marines mom shares testimony asking for accountability in son's death. Marine Corporal Alberto Sanchez was one of 13 military service members killed at the Kabul airport in a suicide bombing August 2021. And this is from Indianapolis, and this particular web page is covered up in ads. It made me turn my ad blocker off to be able to read it. Military moms who lost their loved ones in an attack in Afghanistan 2021 shared emotional testimony this week seeking accountability. This article was written 2 years later, August 2023. The Gold Star families included the mother of fallen Hoosier Marine Corporal Alberto Sanchez. The images we saw of the withdrawal in Afghanistan 2 years ago, gunfire chaos, and crowds of Afghans clinging to U.S. planes became deeply, dangerously personal to a Hoosier watching it unfold at home. I knew my son was in Afghanistan. I was watching TV, and I hear we have an attack, said Coral Rosano Sanchez's mother. Rosano lost her 22-year-old son that August. And this is an undated photo released by 1st Marine Division Camp Pendleton showing Corporal Alberto Sanchez, 22, of Logansport, Indiana, and 11 Marines, 1 Navy sailor, 1 Army soldier among the dead. The Logansport Marine was one of 13 military service members killed at the airport in Kabul in a suicide bombing. His sacrifice was honored by hundreds of Hoosiers lining the streets when his body was brought back home. He also received several posthumous awards for service. But 2 years later, his mom says her wounds keep reopening. He was my boy. It's just like so hard to think I'm not going to see my kid again, Brozano said. It hasn't been easy. We struggle a lot. She believes someone failed her son. It's what brought 8 Gold Star families to speak at a forum Monday hosted by a congressman in California. They were all expressing frustration at what they call a lack of answers about the Afghan evacuation and attack from the U.S. military. Marine killed in Afghanistan, laid to rest in Logansport. Former Vice President Mike Pence Judas Pence was among the mourners at Life Gate Church on Tuesday, September 14th in Logansport, Indiana. Pence, a former Indiana governor, says Sanchez sacrifice will inspire generations. My son loved this country as much as he loved his family. I expected the government to love my son as much as I do, Brazano testified. They failed to protect not just my son, but 12 of his brothers and sisters that day. They failed to protect Afghans too. Military moms shared emotional testimony, wanting a fuller account of what happened to their heroes and a way to prevent another catastrophe. We're doing this so all the parents don't have to go through this same nightmare, Brazano said. That's our goal. That's what we want. We're not doing for a red party or a blue party. This is for our kids. I will fight until my last breath to get to the truth. I promise this to my kid, and I will do it. Back in April, the Biden administration ordered a review of the Afghanistan withdrawal. Many Republicans blame President Joe Biden for the chaos. Many Democrats blame former President Donald Trump for making a deal that failed to establish an evacuation plan. That is not true. There was an evacuation plan in place that was shot down by Mark Milley because it would cost too much to exit the country with all of our equipment. There was a comprehensive plan on the withdrawal that Mark Milley threw out the door. He's a traitor to our country. And I don't want to get too deep into politics tonight because this is about the service members who lost their life. Brazano said it's not political for her. She said she just wants accountability for her son's sacrifice. And I believe that's the end of that article. So moving on to the next one. It's not the end. Parents of fallen Corporal Hunter Lopez still seek answers after death of mastermind Kabul bombing terrorist. And you know what? This video is 2 minutes and 48 seconds long. We're a tad ahead of schedule for a change. I have not watched this video. If it's relevant to the conversation this evening and honoring these 13, I'll let it play. If it's not, then we'll carry on with the rest of the article.
We begin tonight with the parents of local Marine Corporal Hunter Lopez. They're speaking out after the Taliban announced they killed the senior Islamic State group leader behind the August 2021 suicide bombing outside the Kabul airport. Lopez and 12 other service members were killed in that attack. News Channel 3's Samantha Lomibao joins us live in studio after speaking with Lopez's parents. Samantha.
Karen, for Alicia and Herman Lopez, it feels just like yesterday when they found out their son, Corporal Hunter Lopez, was killed in that horrific attack. And although the person responsible for the attack is now dead, they say the fight is far from over.
It brings us a step closer to getting a better understanding, but it's not the end.
Alicia and Herman Lopez first learned of the news from the Marine Corps that one of the people responsible in the death of their son, Hunter, and 12 other service members was killed earlier this month. They say it's a step in the right direction, but they want more answers.
Good news for the fact that people are continuing to look into what occurred and what happened and who's responsible and holding those people that are responsible accountable. It sounds like there's more people out there that are responsible. I think until we have the answers on how many more people are out there that are responsible and had a role in this.
The Islamic State leader, who was the mastermind behind the attack, was killed by members of the Taliban, according to the Defense Department, two terrorist organizations that have been a threat to millions for years.
It gives you some pause to wonder about the legitimacy of everything. It's another piece, but we're still waiting for the complete story.
It's been nearly 2 years since the deadly bombing at Kabul airport. The Lopezes tell me seeing other incidents like it brings back memories of that fateful day.
Some memories, unfortunately, of some very tragic occasion, obviously, and things like this are a lot more reminiscent of the past, and so it's even more of an impact.
The fight continues on in other countries, but here at home, they're dedicated to making a difference in their son's name.
At times we sit there and I at least look out and I think, oh, where's Hunter? And I remember, oh, well, he's not here. My son would have been doing the exact same thing, if it would have been one of his friends.
By supporting other Marines and their families the way Hunter would have.
It warms my heart to see these families being able to be with their sons and daughters during these momentous, times in their lives where, they need all the family support.
Now, the identity of the Islamic State leader who was killed has not yet been released. The Lopezes tell me they're hoping anyone else responsible for this heinous attack also gets held accountable. Live in studio, Samantha Meebow, News Channel 3.
And so actually, that was a pretty good video. So I'll quickly read through the rest of the article. The parents of local Marine Corporal Hunter Lopez are speaking out after the Taliban said they killed the senior Islamic State Guard group leader, behind the August 2021 suicide bombing outside of the Kabul airport. This was April 26, 2023, by the way. Lopez and 12 other service members were killed in the attack. The identity of the Islamic State leader who was killed has not been released. It brings us up closer to, getting a better understanding, but it's not the end, said Herman Lopez, the father of Hunter Lopez. Herman and Alicia Lopez first learned of the news from the Marine Corps over the weekend before the White House made a public announcement. They say it's a step in the right direction, but they want more answers. Good news for the fact that it means, we're continuing to look into what occurred and what happened and who's responsible, and holding those people that are responsible accountable, Herman explained. Sounds like there's more people out there that are responsible. Pardon me. And I think until we have the answers on how many more people are out there that are responsible and how to roll in this, the Islamic State leader who was the mastermind of the attack was killed by members of the Taliban, according to the Defense Department. Two terrorist organizations have been a threat to millions for years. It gives you some pause to wonder about the legitimacy of everything and exactly, if there's ulterior motives possibly for this news and the timing of everything. Herman added, it's another piece, but we're still waiting for the complete story. It's been nearly 2 years since the deadly bombing at the Kabul airport. The Lopezes tell us seeing other incidents like it bring back memories of that fateful day. Keep it in mind, this article was written in 2023. It does bring up, some memories, unfortunately, some very tragic occasions. Things like this are a lot more reminiscent of the past, and so it's even more of an impact, he said. The fight continues on in other countries, but here at home, they're dedicated to making a difference in their son's name. At times we sit there and we look out and we think, oh, where's Hunter? And I remember, oh, he's not here, said Alicia Lopez, Hunter's mother. My son would have been doing the exact same thing, if it had been one of his friends. Through the Hunter Lopez Memorial Foundation, they're supporting other Marines and their families the way Hunter would have. Moving on to the next casualty here. Marine Riley McCollum, 20, died in the Kabul blast weeks before the birth of his child, family says. And this was published Monday, August 30th, 2021. So shortly after the terrorist attack. Riley McCollum's family in Wyoming wasn't surprised in the least when he enlisted in the Marines after high school. He wanted to be a Marine his whole life and carried around his rifle in his diapers and cowboy boots, his sister Royce McCollum said in a statement. He was determined to be in infantry, and this was his first deployment. Her 20-year-old brother was among 13 service members killed in a suicide bombing during the evacuation of the international airport in Afghanistan. At least 20 Marines were wounded, and more than 170 other people were killed. McCollum, a Lance Corporal, had just been sent to Afghanistan to assist in the evacuation and was manning the checkpoint when the explosion occurred. And of course, that's him there. Riley was an amazing man with a passion for the Marines. He was a son, a brother, a husband, and a father with a baby due in just 3 weeks, his sister said. She said the family expected to receive McCollum's remains Monday and funeral plans would follow, the Jackson Hole News and Guide reported. Wyoming Governor Mark Gordon ordered all state and U.S. flags ordered to half-staff through Monday to honor McCollum and the other fallen service members. Our thoughts and prayers are with the family and friends of Riley McCollum of Bondurant, the governor said on Twitter. Jenny and I, along with all of Wyoming and the entire country, thank Riley for his service. McCollum died 7,000 miles from his home in Bondurant, a rural community outside Jackson. Reggie Stone told the Casper Star Tribune that his son Eli was good friends with Riley and enlisted in the Marines around the same time. McCollum would often stay the weekend with their son before being called to boot camp, Stone said. They would blow in to have dinner and we'd hang out and laugh. We might shoot guns on our property, skeet or something, Stone said. They loved going to hang out with other friends, building a fire. He was just a lot of fun to be around. He was just a good, fun kid to have in the house. McCollum attended Jackson Hole High School and graduated from Summit Innovation School. The Teton County School District said in a statement, the family said he was on the wrestling team when he was in school. And that picture's from the 1st Marine Division at Camp Pendleton, released that undated photo of him. The entire TCSD family is heartbroken to share the news that 2019 TCSD graduate Riley McCollum was one of the 13 American Marines killed in yesterday's bombings in Kabul, Afghanistan. The statement said, "We honor and thank him for his service and are humbled by his ultimate sacrifice in protecting others." McCollum's sister said he wanted to become a history teacher and a wrestling coach when he finished serving in the military. Riley will always be a hero, not just for the ultimate sacrifice he made for our country, but for the way he impacted every life around him for the better, making us stronger, kinder, teaching us to love. We love you, Riley, she said. 2 GoFundMe pages were started to raise money for McCollum's wife and unborn child. As of Monday, more than $500,000 had been raised. Moving on to the next one. He would give anything for anybody. California community honors Marine killed in Kabul. This was written August 31st, 2021, so 10 days after the terrorist attack. And this is Lance Corporal Degan Morola, and the pictures are from the Corps. As Marine Lance Corporal Degan Morola pushed further into his mission at Kabul, he wanted his mom to know that he would be out of touch, but he would be okay. "Mom, I won't be able to talk to you for a little while," he wrote days before he was killed. "We're being sent to a different location. I love you and I will talk to you as soon as I get home." Morola was 20 years old, the same age as the war that he fought in. And this is him with his mother, Cheryl. Screenshot from KCAL Channel 9. Morola was assigned to 2nd Battalion, 1st Marine Regiment, 1st Marine Division, 1 Marine Expeditionary Force out of Camp Pendleton, California, and was in Kabul for only a week and a half before the ISIS-K attack on Abbey Gate that killed him and 12 other Americans. In the days after his death, Morola's memory was honored by loved ones and by his hometown of Rancho Cucamonga, California, at Los Osos High School, which he graduated from in 2019. Morola was remembered with a moment of silence before the start of the school's season opening football game Friday, August 27th. Morola's mother, Cheryl, said her son was exceptionally brave and described him in an interview with local news station KCAL 9 as kind, loving, and giving to every single person. He would give anything for anybody. Morola planned on going to college for engineering after his service in the Marine Corps. And this is his actual remains being carried off of the plane. Morola's uncle shared the following statement about his nephew with NBC4 News. "Dylan loved doing stage setup and technical theater at Los Osos High School in Rancho Cucamonga. He was the kind of person who would always be there for his friends and just enjoyed hanging out with family. For family cook nights, they would hike, fish, kayak, and spend time just being together. He will be truly missed and always in our hearts." On a GoFundMe page set up for Morolla's family, an entry from a donor claiming he was Morola's roommate reads, "Anytime we get Smashburger, we will be thinking of you. You've made a difference in this world, and I'm sad you can't see it from down here." A hero forever. Texas mourns Marine Lance Corporal David Lee Espinosa, killed in Kabul. And that's a picture with his mother, courtesy the city of Rio Bravo. On Wednesday, August 25th, Elizabeth Holgan heard from her son, Marine Lance Corporal David Lee Espinosa, 20, assured her he was safe at Kabul's Hamid Karzai International Airport, where U.S. forces were toiling to evacuate tens of thousands of refugees fleeing Taliban militias. "He said he was fine," Holgan told the Wall Street Journal. "He said he didn't want to worry me." On Thursday, a Marine knocked on her door in Rio Bravo, Texas. She learned Espinosa was one of the 13 members killed by a suicide bombing near the airport's Abbey Gate. Her son was almost as old as the war he died fighting. He'd only been in Afghanistan for a week. And this picture is courtesy of the city of Rio Bravo. He's survived by his mom, 3 siblings, and a stepfather. He was there helping innocent people, Holgan told the newspaper. That was what he wanted to do. On Saturday, Espinosa's family held a candlelight vigil for him in Rio Bravo, his hometown just outside the border city of Laredo. Espinosa graduated from Laredo's Lyndon B. Johnson High School in 2019. On Friday, district officials took to social media to honor a hero forever. Earlier, students participated in a moment of silence for the Marine. Taps played on the intercom. Officials pledged to hang a portrait of the fallen Marine in the school to honor his memory forever. David, we are so proud of you. The statement read. On Rio Bravo's official City Hall page, Mayor Gilbert Aguilar Jr. wrote that his community mourns the loss of one of our own. In a statement to reporters, U.S. Rep. Henry Culler lauded Espinosa as a Marine who embodied grit, determination, service, and valor. I mourn him and all of the fallen heroes in Afghanistan, Seiler, who was born in Laredo, said. My heart goes out to the Espinosa family in this extremely difficult time. The brave never die. Mr. Espinosa is a hero. Governor Greg Abbott ordered all Texas flags on state property lowered to half staff to honor Espinosa and the other military members killed in the Kabul attack. The First Lady and I extend our prayers to comfort those affected by this devastating event, he wrote. She was a light in this dark world. Family and friends remember Sergeant Nicole Gee. And this is a picture of Nicole Gee, Corporal Nicole Gee, maintenance technician with the 24th Marine Expeditionary Unit on an MV-22B Osprey, April 5th, 2021, U.S. Marine Corps. Photo by Staff Sergeant Mark E. Morrow Jr. As a member of the female engagement team with 24th Marine Expeditionary Unit, Sergeant Nicole Gee was providing a vital skill set during the United States' chaotic final withdrawal from Afghanistan. She was there to communicate with and facilitate support for Afghan women and children. Before an ISIS-K suicide bomber claimed the lives of 13 American service members, including Gee, the Roseville, California native was immortalized in photos at Hamid Karzai International Airport as a symbol of what is best in the American spirit. I love my job, Gee wrote on an August 20th, 21st Instagram post sharing this photo from Kabul. I love my job, so same. Other photographs captured Gee, who was meritoriously promoted to sergeant just weeks ago, escorting refugees to awaiting C-17s. Gee, a maintenance technician by specialty, was helping search female refugees at the time of the attack, according to several Instagram posts. Nicole was out in front with all of us infantry Marines, unwavering in the face of the unknown. Rowdy Woods, an infantry Marine who served with Gee at HKIA, wrote on Facebook, she always had a positive attitude and strived to put a smile on everybody's face. Just 2 days before the blast, we were cutting it up when she was helping us boys out at the East Gate. She was there to search the women and children for us, but that night she was helping us prepare for an attack that we knew would eventually come. Nicole loved what she was doing out here, and she knew the risks. She did it anyway because she is and forever will be one badass Marine. Just weeks after celebrating her 5th wedding anniversary, the 23-year-old sergeant wrote to her sister telling her how excited she was about all she was accomplishing in Afghanistan. She absolutely loved the work she was doing in Afghanistan. Gee's sister, Misty Fuoco, wrote on the GoFundMe page she set up, she was such a bright light to everyone she touched, always focusing on positivity and motivating others to do their best. And this is her on the right side of this picture, and the photos by Sergeant Samuel Ruiz and courtesy of DVIDS. Marine Sergeant Mallory Harrison paid tribute to her fallen friend in a Facebook post. My very best friend, my person, my sister forever, Harrison wrote. I can't quite describe the feeling I get when I force myself to come back to reality and think about how I'm never going to see her again. How her last breath was taken doing what she loved, helping people at HKIA in Afghanistan. And there was an explosion, and just like that, she's gone. Gee graduated from Oakmont High School in 2016. In October 2017, she shipped off to boot camp at Paris Island, where she became known for encouraging those around her to accomplish their mission. When one of her platoon mates, Jenny Latorre, was injured and doubting if she could continue on, Gee picked her up. It was late at night. I was crying and frustrated, trying to fight and figure out if I could make it. She pulled me and hugged me and told me not to give up, that I could do it, that I could make it. She always put others before herself, Latorre told Coffee or Die magazine. And this is her holding a child at the airport. Latorre said Gee made an impression on those around her throughout her career. She was always making everyone laugh. She was a badass from the start, too. Everyone knew she was going to be a damn good Marine. Just no one thought she'd eventually sacrifice her life for it, Latorre said. Gee is survived by her husband, Jared Gee, who is also a Marine. Gee's sister wrote on GoFundMe, her love for her husband and my brother-in-law, Jared Gee, is unmatched. They had a bond like nothing I've ever seen, and I'm so devastated that he's lost the love of his life. She was everything to Jared, the bright sun to his life. They are both Marines and have dedicated themselves to serving this country. At the time of publication, the GoFundMe campaign has raised more than $91,000 of its $100,000 goal. Gee's cousin wrote on Instagram that she is heartbroken but beyond proud that Gee died for what she believed in, protecting and serving this country and the innocent civilians of Afghanistan. I'm so grateful to have grown up with such a wonderful, caring human being, she wrote. I'm going to miss her for the rest of my life. Similar sentiments and myriad tributes posted by friends and family online. I find peace knowing that she left this world doing what she loved. Harrison, her friend and fellow sergeant, wrote on Facebook. She was a Marine's Marine. She cared about people she loved fiercely. She was a light in this dark world. Utah remembers Marine killed in Kabul. He was the best kid in the world. Staff Sergeant Darren Taylor Hoover Jr. during one of his 3 deployments to Afghanistan. Photo courtesy of Asad Hana on Twitter. Marine Staff Sergeant Darren Taylor Hoover Jr., who mostly went by Taylor to his friends and Bubba to his sisters, was only an elementary school student at the time of the September 11, 2001 terrorist attacks. When 9/11 happened, he was only 11 years old. His father, Darren Hoover Sr., recalled at that point he had already made up his mind at 11. The Marines were all he ever wanted to do, Darren Hoover said of his son. Taylor Hoover was among the 13 service members killed in the Abbey Gate suicide bombing outside the Kabul airport on August 26. Hoover, 31, was born on July 24, 1990, the oldest brother of 2 sisters who adored him, his father said. Hoover planned to marry his fiancée, Nicole Weiss, upon returning from Afghanistan. He had the biggest heart out of anyone I've ever met, Weiss told Coffee or Die magazine in an interview. I want everyone to know how much of an amazing man he was and ask that people don't forget not only his sacrifice, but the family behind his great sacrifice as well, as we've truly lost an integral part of our family. And this is a picture of him in his dress blues, picture courtesy of Facebook. In 2008, Taylor Hoover graduated from Hillcrest High School in Midvale, just south of Salt Lake City. He played football, number 68, and joined the Marine Corps at 19. The elder Hoover described his son as a born leader to local news station KUTV. He led his men and they followed him, but I know in my heart of hearts he was out front, Darren Hoover said in the interview. They would follow him through the gates of hell if that's what it took. Taylor Hoover was assigned to the 2nd Battalion, 1st Marine Regiment, 1st Marine Division, 1 Marine Expeditionary Force at Camp Pendleton. His unit deployed to Kabul to support evacuation efforts. And this is Nicole Weiss, Staff Sergeant Darren Taylor Hoover's fiance, and she shared this picture on Facebook. Several family members took to social media to share their grief. The world has lost a true light, Brittany Jones Barnett, Hoover's aunt, said in a Facebook post. Our hearts are broken, shocked, disbelief, horror, sadness, sorrow, anger, and grief. Hoover's uncle, Jeremy Soto, left a tribute on Facebook. Taylor spent his entire life as a Marine serving, doing the hard things that most of us can't do. Many Utah lawmakers, including Governor Spencer Cox, have also expressed their condolences to the Hoover family. Though the governor also spoke at the candlelight vigil held on the steps of the Salt Lake City Capitol on Sunday night, the event was inundated with friends and family members who collectively emphasized the message, do not forget his sacrifice. And this is a picture from that event. His family and friends flew via private jet, courtesy of Utah Attorney General, from all corners of the country on the night of Saturday, August 29, 2021, for a candlelight vigil held for Hoover. An unexpected crowd of several hundred turned out to show their support for the Hoover family. Photo by Lauren Kuntz, Coffee or Die magazine. With few dry eyes in the audience, family and friends spoke on the steps of the Capitol building in the heart of downtown Salt Lake City. The vigil was organized by Gold Star widow Jenny Taylor from the Major Brent Taylor Foundation. Hoover's family and friends offered anecdotes and personal memories, many highlighting the young man's sense of humor and his service-oriented character. He was more like my other brother than my nephew, Hoover's Uncle Bill B.B. Barnett said. If he ever called me uncle, it was usually to be funny. He was a sheepdog, Neil Kaufman, a friend of Hoover, said, describing the outpouring of love and support on social media. Kaufman added, it takes your breath and crushes your heart. The crowd was thick with supporters, many of whom had no connection to the family. They simply wanted to show their appreciation for Hoover's sacrifice. I'm a veteran, and this is important to me, one man told Coffee or Die. Kaufman, Hoover's friend, told the crowd that the family never thought the vigil would be as large as it was. This vigil is for us, not him, Kaufman said. Taylor's doing just fine. He doesn't need it. Hoover's best friend of 20 years, Kaylee Snedger, called him the greatest man. He died doing what he loved, Snedger told Coffee or Die. And community members came together and lined the Hoover Street in Sandy, Utah with American flags tied with yellow ribbons, photo by Lauren Kuntz, Coffee or Die magazine. Friends and neighbors showed their support for the Hoover family by lining their street with yellow ribbons and American flags. I just want people to remember my son, Darren Hoover said. He was the best kid in the world. According to his father, Taylor Hoover will be laid to rest at Arlington National Cemetery. Fellow Marines have established a GoFundMe memorial page to assist the Hoover family. And last but certainly not least, we will see him again. Family mourns PSYOP Staff Sergeant Ryan Noss. And U.S. Army Staff Sergeant Ryan Noss was assigned to the 9th Psychological Operations Battalion, 8th Psychological Operations Group, Fort Bragg, North Carolina. Photo courtesy of the 8th Psychological Operations Group, Airborne. U.S. Army Staff Sergeant Ryan Noss went to a Christian school. He prayed. The devoted husband loved God and his country. And that's why Wayne Noss knows his grandson Ryan is going to greet him in heaven. We have 5 grandchildren. Now we're down to 4. Noss, 79, of Corryton, Tennessee, said in a telephone interview with Coffee or Die magazine. It's a sad day for us, but we take comfort and we'll see him in heaven. It means a lot to us. Noss, 23, was the sole soldier killed Thursday, August 26th, by a suicide bombing near the Abbey Gate at Kabul's airport. The other dozen dead belonged to the Marine Corps and Navy. On his second deployment in Afghanistan, Noss was a member of Company B, 9th Battalion, 8th Psychological Operations Group, Airborne at Fort Bragg, North Carolina. While in surgery, he succumbed to wounds sustained in the attack. He had arrived in Afghanistan only a week before he died. Ryan was the embodiment of an Army Special Operations Forces soldier, a testament to the professionalism of the non-commissioned officer corps and a steadfast husband and teammate. 8th Psychological Operations Group Commander Colonel Jeremy Mushter said in a prepared statement released on social media. Wayne Noss believes his grandson's wife, Alina, 23, was the first family member to learn of the tragedy. She and Ryan bought a home near Fort Bragg in Pine Bluff, North Carolina in late 2019. And this is, of course, was a picture of Ryan Noss. May your service, sacrifice, and courage never be forgotten. And that was from the Knoxville Police Department, paying tribute to Staff Sergeant Ryan Noss, who died from his wounds. The photo is courtesy of Knoxville Police Department. They fixed it up, the elder Noss said. It had a garden. It had a little chicken house that had some chickens there and a little hot house for the wintertime for some plants to grow. They were working on the house, making it nicer. We were really proud of the way they work. They were moving along nicely. Really nice, just an ideal, lovely young couple. In Tennessee, the bad news fell first to Ryan's stepmother, Lene. She answered the door Thursday and met a senior Army officer flanked by a chaplain and a female soldier from 8th Psychological Operations Group, among others in uniform. Ryan's stepmother, Lene, knew it was something bad, Wayne said, so she said, "You can follow me where Ryan's father is." A telephone call from Lene, her voice breaking, brought Wayne and Evelina, Ryan's grandmother, to join them. We pretty well knew that something bad was going on, Wayne Noss said. When you see all these black vans and the officers there in their dress, we knew it was bad news. A U.S. Army carry team transferred the remains of Army Staff Sergeant Ryan C. Noss of Corryton, Tennessee, Sunday, August 29, 2021 at Dover Air Force Base, Delaware. U.S. Air Force photo by Jason Minto. He still held out hope that maybe the officers would tell him his grandson was only wounded. Staff Sergeant Noss will be buried at Arlington National Cemetery. Alina Noss was with President Joe Biden on Sunday when the remains of the 13 service members arrived at Dover Air Force Base in Delaware, Wayne Noss said. He was a great model, Wayne Noss said of his grandson. He'd always finish second or third somewhere high. He was a competitor. He always wanted to be the best. But before he was a soldier, Ryan was a Christian, and he died a Christian. We take great comfort in that, Wayne Noss said. We will see him again. Wow. Whew. I think that's the longest I've read aloud in maybe my entire life. What a terrible situation this was. And again, I promised myself I wouldn't politicize it, so I'm going to continue to move on here. My gut wants me to speak up on the incompetent leadership, but I'm going to let it roll. So I'd like to bring all of you into this as well. Our community is the heart of survival dispatch. I want your take on how we honor heroes like these 13. So, put something in the live chat, hit us up on Substack, email us with your thoughts. You can always send emails to support@survivaldispatch.com. But I did get a couple messages already. So the first one, it got me fired up. When I see messages from patriots like Tom from Georgia wrote, Chris, my son just enlisted in the Marines. And after hearing about these 13 heroes, I'm both proud and scared. How do we make sure our warriors have the leadership they deserve? And I mean, I don't know. That's probably as close to a perfect question as you could ask, I guess. We make sure that we stay engaged. We demand accountability from everybody in the system, elected officials on down. And we don't let the memory of any of our service members fade, not just these 13, but all of them. And I would say that your son is following in the footsteps of heroes, and I'm sure that makes you proud. But you're also right to be concerned about leadership. I think we're in a lot better spot now than we were when this horrible incident happened in Afghanistan. But I believe there's still a fair bit of work to do. And that's from conversations with Navy SEALs like Bill Brown, who's extremely active, and fortunate that I have friends like Bill to kind of keep me up to speed on this stuff. One more. I actually got quite a few. I'm just going to read one more. Sarah from Ohio emailed us, what's the best way to teach my kids about the sacrifice while prepping them for emergencies? That's a solid question, Sarah. I would say share the stories of these heroes like Riley McCollum. And if you want your kids to be really prepared, depending on what age they are, of course, teach them about things like having a get home bag if they're of the right age. People always want to talk about bug out bags, but 83% of Americans live in urban settings. They have nowhere realistically to bug out to. Of course, you're not going to bug out to the woods and survive in the woods. Really, the key thing is, and my memory says that the average American works 15 miles from home. I might be off by a mile or two, but I think that's directionally correct. More important than bugging out is how do you get home if there's an SHTF event like a terrorist attack. So I think that's like a practical, tactical thing I would teach my kids, Sarah. Again, depending on their age. I don't know how old your kids are. And I think that in turn kind of communicates, I guess, the concept of always being ready, like stay ready. And I don't know that I have much more to add to that, to be honest with you. So as we wrap up this evening's episode, I didn't write a lot. I just wanted to try and capture, what did this horrible event, these 13 heroes, what did they teach us? And, I couldn't come up with a lot other than metaphorical stuff, I guess you should say. I would say that courage isn't the absence of fear. It's doing what's right despite the fear. And that's not from me originally, but it's something that just came top of mind. It came from somebody else way back when. I would say that another thing we learned is that service to others is the highest calling, and that some things, especially faith, family, and freedom, are worth dying for. and that when good people do nothing, evil prospers. So as you can probably tell by those couple sentences there, I co-opted stuff from other people, and that's just because they did a better job than I did of being eloquent and kind of stating the lessons of a horrible event like this. I would say key takeaways from this incident are simple as well, profound, but simple. That we honor their memory by living worthy of their sacrifice. And I stole that from somebody else too. My whole career has been predicated on standing on the shoulders of giants, people much smarter than I am. Prepare your families, not just for emergencies, but for the long fight to preserve what these heroes died defending. And that, my friends, is the purpose of Survival Dispatch and Survival Dispatch News. Our mission is to dispatch information to our fellow Americans and friends of America, to empower all of you as guardians to help save our republic and save our American Christian culture, which has been under attack for many decades now. I think that we're turning the corner the right way for the first time in a long time, but boy, there's a lot of work to be done. And I think I have such a significant disdain for politicians these days. Don't let them ever forget that they're total, I don't know, they pay lip service to our troops. And I think these politicians need to be told straight up that they deserve better than the way the politicians have treated them. I'm going to say one political thing. To this day, Joe Biden did not reach out to a single family of the 13 members that died because of his crap leadership. Anyway, moving on from there, we're in the home stretch here. So I want to challenge you to join our Guardian program. We're not just dispatching information. We're building a network of Americans committed to saving our republic and our Christian culture. In a world full of lies, us here at Survival Dispatch News, we're dedicated to truth. And in a culture that seems to be promoting weakness, we're doing the exact opposite. We're building strength. So for those of you ready to take the next step, we're offering a free 1-month Guardian subscription. And I'm going to grab the URL for that right now. And I'm going to throw it in the chat for everybody. I could read it off, but if you're anything like me, you'd forget it as fast as I said it. So I just sent it out to 8 of the 9 platforms and sent it over there to Rumble. Okay, so that link will get you a free 30-day Guardian membership on our Substack. Why do we have Substack and Patreon? It's 3 is 2, 2 is 1, 1 is none. Backups to our backups, although Substack is a stronger platform than Patreon is as far as supporting conservative Christian values. Far less likely of being deplatformed on Substack than it would be on Patreon. Anyway, so when you sign up as a Guardian, and again, we're extending the promotion that we have on right now, $7.99 a month or $75 for the year. You get 2.5 months for free. When you subscribe for the year, Guardians get the following benefits. You get full access to our sit reps situation report 6 days a week. You get an invite to our high traffic signal chat. You get $370 in Survival Dispatch e-magazines, including our 228-page survival guide. And that wall is covered in all 37 covers of our Survival Dispatch Insider magazines. They're e-magazines, not printed magazines. In addition to the Guardian chat, in addition to the Signal chat, we've lit up the Guardian chat on Substack as a backup. So I don't expect to see a lot of traffic in that chat on Substack. It's really just a backup, but we've already configured that it's up and running. So if Signal goes down, that's the Alamo. That's where we're going to back up to. You'll also get early access to JJ Morris's videos twice a week. We already started that last week. You'll get them a day to 3 days before the public does on YouTube. Next Sunday, I'm going to be sending emails myself from my personal email to all of the Guardians with a Sunday threat matrix. And this will be a weekly analysis of developing threats. It'll be developing threats that Americans in general need to be concerned about. It'll be threats related to American Christians, and it'll be threats relative to Christians around the world, depending on what's going on. If it's really busy news, for example, there'll probably be 3 for each bucket, is kind of what I'm thinking. It'll also have actionable steps, things that you can do in light of whatever these threats are. And it's probably going to take 2 weeks. We're going to light up the SDN emergency alert system. So this is going to be a text, email, alert system exclusively for Guardian members. And it's going to be on emerging threats or high priority breaking news. And there's some legalities here. I can't send you a text message unless you've explicitly given me permission as Survival Dispatch to send you those text messages. So I'm working with our tech team to get our head wrapped around how do we bring people into the Guardian SDN emergency alert system. But stay tuned on that. I promise you it'll be up and running within the next 2 weeks. All righty. So I want a big thanks to Dale, as usual. The guy's a machine. It seems like Dale and Dee Dee are like just forces of nature, posting huge amounts of news and articles and intel into the Signal chat. I mean, it's unbelievable. And I'm going to bring it up and show you this, and I'm going to share the link with y'all. But it's a longer video. It's 3 minutes and 19 seconds. This is quite the tribute to our heroes, worth the few minutes of your time. I'm gonna put that into the live chat right now for everybody. And I would encourage you to watch that when you have a minute. There's a reason that I'm not playing it, and that is because we have a video queued up for the end of this episode that I want to make sure we don't lose your attention before then. And it's if memory serves me right, this video's on Freedom, I believe. Anyway, John will be back tomorrow evening. Wednesday, Randy and I are going to join Dr. Joe Rigney, who's also a pastor, to tackle the topic, the sin of empathy, compassion, and its counterfeits. And that's from a new book he recently published. Other than that, I want to thank all of our subscribers for standing with us. Your support lets us grind it out, even on holidays like Memorial Day. I'm very grateful for your support. Until next time, enjoy the closing video. Stay vigilant. Stay prepared. Never forget the price of freedom is eternal vigilance. God bless you. God bless our fallen heroes. God bless the United States of America.